Netflix's latest jump into the reality TV game, Love is Blind, is out and it's finished, and it's begging one big question. Can two people fall in love and get engaged, all without ever seeing each other? Is love truly blind? Now, with the plethora of reality TV love shows out there, is Love is Blind worth your time? Should you sit down and binge all 10 episodes and the eventual tell-all to come out March 5th? Now, there's a lot of great stuff about Love is Blind, but there are also some questionable moments, and I'll be taking some time to lay out both the good and the bad and the outrageous of this show. And since a lot of people who will be watching this video are Bachelor fans, I'll also be talking about some of the differences between Love is Blind and the reality TV giant that is the Bachelor franchise. Then, hopefully, by the end of the video, you'll know whether or not to watch or stay away. And if you have watched the series, be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll try to keep things as spoiler-free as I possibly can, but be warned, there may be spoilers in the comment section. So, the basic premise behind Love is Blind is this. A bunch of complete strangers gather together and are separated into two groups, the men and the women. And for a week, they only have one goal: find a connection and explore it. The kicker is, you won't be able to see who you're talking to. Each day, you're set up on a series of blind dates with someone from the other group, and the only way you'll eventually get to see them is if you get engaged. Now, inside what they call the pods here are a set of rules. Primarily, keep the talk away from physical appearance and focus on making an emotional connection. If the two of you decide that you are falling in love, you can propose, and only then do you get to see the person on the other side. Which raises a new question. Will the person you've talked with all week meet your physical expectations? Will you even care? Fortunately for everyone involved, Netflix really only casted hot people, so there was never a reaction like,
Michael?
Oh.
I'm supposed to be meeting someone named Michael.
Oh, that's not, yeah. I'm not.
Michael? Michael? Large hot chocolate with caramel and a shot of peppermint.
For some, there was a connection right off the bat, a complete no-doubter, where two people meet and go, it's you. I mean, there's a couple in here who like 15 minutes in were saying I love you, and I was just here eating it up like my life depended on it. But there are also other couples who take a few dates to figure things out, and people who have multiple relationships that they connect with. It's not all smooth sailing in the pods. But know this, multiple people get engaged. Some leave without a match, but there are multiple engagements, and they come at you so fast you won't believe it. Like, I came out of episode 2 feeling like I just watched something that should have taken years, but for me was only 2 hours.
How many years? By now it must be.
It's 23 years, 4 months, 8 days.
And all the while I was buying it as if it wasn't a completely ludicrous fantasy. I had the people I cheered for, the relationships I thought were a mistake, relationships that came out of nowhere, and relationships I thought were corny. But all through it I was just like,
Game time.
The pods are now open.
You're a beautiful person. I don't have to see you to say that.
You're bringing me down.
You're bringing me down! You!
Every day that we've spent together has been a blessing to me. There's so much I love about you.
And that's just the first 2 episodes. From here, if the couples decide they are going forward with an engagement and aren't turned off by each other's appearance, they get swept away to a beautiful resort where they then get to explore their physical connection. After that, they move in together, they meet each other's families, and then ultimately, just weeks after first meeting each other in the pods, they get married. Intermingled into all of it are get-togethers with the other engaged couples and a lot of drinking. I mean, a lot. Which is my first point and warning for the show. Be prepared for intoxicated people. I'm not sure if it's a little more kosher here because the show is on Netflix as opposed to network TV, which still shows drunkenness by the way, but this show does not hold back.
I'm meeting my best friend and I love him and I'm so lucky.
Now at times, it can be funny, but very often it can be uncomfortable. Like at times I was kind of sitting on my couch and cringing, saying, "Someone stop filming her and get her a slice of pizza and a glass of water." There's so much drinking on this show that even this lady's dog gets in on it.
You're a grown-ass man, you know?
You know what I mean? Is that like, I'm not saying is that like, I want you to be a parent.
She loves wine. Also, please don't try this at home. And I began to notice that the show starts using these specific metallic wine glasses and cups all the time, and I doubt it's because they think they're fashionable and really want to keep all their wine chilled. Instead, I imagine this does two things. One, it hides the amount of alcohol in their cup, and two, it helps with the continuity when the editors are trying to string together two clips from different points in the night. Now, of course, there's drinking in most any reality TV show of this nature, but be prepared for some extra sloppiness. Which, to be fair, happens. I mean, I know this is all likely encouraged by the producers and the bar seems to always be open, but a lot of the show deals with real-life stuff. At least in comparison to shows like The Bachelor, especially this latest season with Peter Weber. There are tough subjects brought up that we rarely get to see on The Bachelor because they burst the fantasy bubble that's often surrounding contestants on the show. Things like, what is it like to live together? What is it like to find out your partner is in debt? How do you deal with dating someone much older or younger than yourself? The realities of being in an interracial relationship. Having real-life fights. I find we rarely get to see fighting on a show like The Bachelor, but learning how to fight well is an incredibly important part of any relationship. It's unavoidable, it's going to happen, and learning how to navigate through it in a healthy way is integral to having a happy partnership. And fights can be petty and hurtful.
You know how you tell me this is the best sex of your life? Have you noticed that I don't return the compliment?
Damn!
But fights like these are real, and that's what we tune in for, right? Yes, we're here for the fantasy, but we also want a little dose of reality too. After all, it is called reality TV. Now, this show does at times have a tough time balancing the fantasy with reality because obviously this is a crazy idea that is meant to be, as they very distinctly call it, an experiment. But this is the show's first year. It's just a little freshman figuring things out. The pacing, the handling of the contestants, and understanding what works and doesn't work about the show will be figured out in seasons to come. Which I expect will come. And with that breaking of the fantasy and into a little more reality, comes participants on the show with real jobs and varying age ranges. Wait a minute, a female contestant who isn't a medical sales rep, supermodel, Instagram socialite? Impossible. And there are participants who are young, but there are also people in their 30s and late 20s, which one is still young, two adds an extra element to this experiment of does age matter if you find someone you connect with, and three adds a sense of normalcy. Now, after all of this, with all things considered, the ultimate question is, should you watch Love is Blind? If you're not turned off by the occasional sloppiness and the absolute lightning speed of the show's pace, I'd say absolutely give it a go. I found myself hooked into it pretty fast, then at times occasionally a bit bored, but ultimately I was always starving for a new episode. And when I started watching and then found out I had to wait another week for more episodes to drop, I was like,
but this is America, I want it now!
There are contestants you'll connect with and root for, others will have you choosing sides with one, only to find yourself a moment later on the other person's side. There are a lot of red flags, some frustrating moments, and of course there's going to be some drama. And if you're curious, yes, there is a payoff. Couples get engaged, couples move in together, couples fight, couples meet the families, and couples do go to the altar. And I'll say there will be at least one marriage. I won't say anything more than that in the event you haven't watched the series yet, but there is a payoff at the end. I've enjoyed the show, I've seen a number of people online talking about it, and of course critics have spurned it, which, if we're considering reality TV, is always a good sign for its longevity. Heck, The Bachelor was widely panned and criticized when it came out, and look where that is now. So if you're looking for some classic, trashy TV to help you turn your mind off from your day, but with enough romance to give you the occasional warm and fuzzies, I'd say watch it. Especially if you're a fan of The Bachelor and want something a little bit different than the season we've just had. It won't change your life, and you may suffer from the occasional eye roll, but hey, it's Netflix. Who's complaining? So that's it for this video on Love is Blind. Should you watch it? A little bit of a break from my usual Bachelor content, but a lot of subscribers were asking for a video on this, and after giving it a watch, or more like a binge, I really wanted to do this video. So if you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe, and until next time, Bachelor Fantake, out.
Being my best friend and I love him and I'm so lucky. It's huge and I'm so lucky.
To be a parent to me.